welcome to another vlog from Ginger and Charlie Coffee Cup. Today, as you can see, I'm at home. Reason for that is I've had to isolate because I was around the vicinity of someone who had COVID, and I got pinged by the NHS track and trace, and I've self-isolated, and as a result I'm going to do a vlog from home. And as such, I thought I'd do another one of my home vlogs that I did a couple of months ago now. And as aircraft hadn't featured on the channel in quite a while, I thought I'd try and do a run at aircraft. So today is about a air accident that happened on June the 1st, 2009. And it was on a flight number 447, operated by Air France on their route from Rio De Janeiro to Paris Charles de Gaulle, operated by an Airbus A330, quite similar to this one, except obviously it was in Air France colours. And the flight was routine, scheduled flight, which Air France did, and it left Rio on time. There was nothing wrong with the plane at all. The plane was only 4 years old. 4 years old plane, nothing wrong with it. The plane was that advanced at the time that it was said it could actually fly itself. And back then, pilots only got maybe 5 minutes of flying from takeoff and wheels up, and that's it, to wheels down, land. That's all they had to do on a plane. The plane left Brazilian airspace. There was nothing wrong with the plane at the time, and it was flying north towards France. And between Brazil and Africa, it would enter a radar black spot, where it wouldn't be on anyone's radar. It'd just be flying north, and it wouldn't be on radar again until the radar station in Dakar, Senegal. It never reached the radar station in Senegal. It was lost. It claimed the souls of 228 people. Now, a plane like this doesn't simply fall out of the sky from 42,000 feet. They had to find the plane. Now, the plane had gone 42,000 feet, gone into the Atlantic Ocean. Unfortunately, there was no survivors. The rescue effort was launched. The first thought back then was terrorism, bomb, or an unknown outside agent. Then they found wreckage of the plane. The wreckage told them it's not a bomb, it's not a missile, it's not terrorism related, and it's not like a military accidentally fired a missile at a plane. That's been ruled out. So if you've ruled out outside agents, there's something wrong with the plane. Now, when there's something wrong with the plane, there's the black boxes, which are quite big, cuboid shaped, orange, white stripe, do not touch, flight data recorder. Now, when they found the wreckage, they found 50 bodies. 50. And the rest of the plane was 4 kilometres down at the bottom of the South Atlantic. The French threw everything at it. Remote control subs, nuclear submarines. The military was looking for it. They couldn't find this plane. Now, a plane doesn't just vanish it doesn't vanish. But it wouldn't be until 2011 when the black boxes were found. So that's been 2 years they've been at the bottom of the ocean. 2 years. They bring them up by remote control subs. The people that found them was actually an American team that found Titanic. That's quite an amazing feat, really. I mean, the plane was, in some circles, called the Titanic of the Sky. So, quite odd how the people who found Titanic also found the black boxes for that plane. But you've been at the bottom of the ocean for 2 years, there's a chance they might not work. To investigators, they did. And what was heard on that cockpit voice recorder was the last minutes of that plane. Now, I've not heard the transcript. I've not heard a lot of it. Only the bits here that are on Air Crash Investigation and stuff like that on YouTube. But what happened on board that flight deck it was a horrific accident that the experts say could have been avoided. Given that the flight is 8 hours, the captain, Marc Dubois, was in charge, with Pierre Bonin as the co-pilot, and David Robert was actually the third person in the cockpit, and he was actually taking his leave, which they are, as it's an 8-hour flight, you'd interchange the flight crew. Now, when you're going from Brazil to France, you go through the equator. And the weather's always quite bad around there because of the updrafts and downdrafts and everything like that. I'm not a meteorologist, so I'm not going to get into that. And they started to enter whether they could handle, they could deal with. It was fine. Like, it wasn't a case of this is going to really affect the aircraft. It was moving about a bit, but nothing that was going to bring a plane out of the sky. And Captain Dubois takes his leave, but leaves the inexperienced person on the flight deck, Pierre Bonin, in charge. De Robert is now the co-pilot, effectively, even though he's the second most experienced person on the flight deck. What happens next almost for certain consigns Flight 447 to its fate. Because of the weather gets worse and it gets cold, and the front of planes around this area have what they call pitot tubes. Now, what pitot tubes do is tell you how fast the plane's going, altitude and everything like that. Now, because of the temperatures outside, they've all frozen. What Pierre Bonin did next was pull back on the stick. Now, Airbus and Boeing, who are the two main aircraft makers in the world, design their planes differently. Boeing have a yoke right in front of the pilot, so whichever one does, the other one will copy. Airbus is a little bit different. They have like joysticks, but whatever this one does, the other one doesn't do. And Pierre Bonin pulls back on his joystick, putting the nose of the plane up. And he's trying to get lift, but the plane isn't getting enough wind through the wings to lift it up. So as he's trying to climb, the plane's actually going to start doing this, stalling. The stall warning sounds. But literally at the same time, the pitot tube clears. So it's now giving you live data that you need to take notice of. But the pilots didn't trust what their instructors were telling them. And the stall alarm's quite loud. It keeps going stall, stall, stall. Like, it doesn't say anything else. That's all it says, over and over and over again. But they don't realise what's causing it. He's got his hand on the joystick pointing it upwards and it's going down because it's not getting enough lift. David Robert pings the pilot who's in his bed chamber at the back of the cockpit. And this plane is falling out of the sky. There's nothing stopping this plane now. This plane's basically doing this. It's putting the noise of the git up and it's just doing that. Then all of a sudden, the stall alarm cuts out, stops. Because the plane is at a point of no return. As soon as the stall alarm cuts out on a plane, it's not recoverable. But then Pierre Bonan says, I'm pulling back on this, or words to that effect. And they realise at that point what's happened. But instead of doing it that way, in a stall situation, you want your nose to be like that. So then you get more air going into your engines and over your wings, and it lifts your plane up. They noticed this too late. The Airbus A330 hits the ocean. Everyone on board dies. I can't imagine what the passengers on board that plane went through. Those 4 or 5 minutes. Just plane shaking, buffeting, going down. It was an evening. It was around 2 a.m. So you may have been asleep. May have woken you up. They managed to recover all but 74 bodies. Those 74 families, God rest their soul, God rest all their souls, but those 74 families don't have a grave to go to. It's one of the worst aviation disasters of modern history. Hopefully it doesn't happen again. I hope the industry's learned from the lessons that this crash taught them. The pilots weren't ready for it. The pilots just didn't know what was going on. They couldn't process it. I just hope lessons were learned, so no other family has to go through that again. And that is the end of today's vlog. Do hope you learned something. If you'd like to know more about the accident itself, there's loads of things on YouTube that you can look at and documents on it. But that is the end of today's vlog. If you wouldn't mind, please like, share, comment, subscribe and hit the notification bell to not miss videos of this help channel, and I'll see you all in the next one.